Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Summers, and welcome to the audio edition of Mind, Body, Soul, a show about your mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. Over the past number of years, I guess we've experienced an explosion in yoga, but my guest today certainly hasn't been involved in yoga for the last number of years. It's basically been her lifelong mission to climb to the top of the scale. And anybody who talks about yoga or who has been involved in yoga certainly would know the name of Meranda Squires. Meranda is the owner and operator of the Lotus Center, and she's here today to talk about the Dyad, the communications of yoga. So welcome, Meranda Squires.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here today.
Well, it's certainly nice to take time out of your busy day to talk to us, and I know you've got a class in an hour, so we'll get right into this. So, Meranda, just explain to our listeners what they can expect to hear from you today.
Well, I'd like to just sort of mention that I spent most of my early life in India studying with a guru in my 20s and 30s. About 17 years. And so that molded my whole sort of orientation towards a spiritual upliftment, seeing that all beings are my own self. And that was my main focus there. I learned yoga and meditation and chanting. And after 17 years of feeling that I got quite fulfilled in all of that, I had this need or this desire to share what I have learned. So when I returned to St. John's, Newfoundland, I set up the Lotus Center in 2001. And over the years, it's about over 20 years now, I've developed these pathways that people can enter into the center. And these doorways, these paths. So people can enter into the Lotus Center through yoga, through meditation, through the Dyad, the communication exercises, through mind clearing, which are private sessions. I do training in yoga and meditation. I do empowerment programs. And these are areas where, for instance, freedom from anxiety, dig the depth of depression, various areas of difficulties that people have in life. And we have an empowering approach, which is using the Dyad format. So basically, my center, the Lotus Center, has anybody who is on the path to spiritual development, who are already stable in their life, mentally, physically, they have a job, they have their education. They're a normal, regular person who wants to advance themselves further in their spiritual development. And this is what the Lotus Center is for. So I can help you to evolve wherever you're at to the next stage. So it's open to people who are already meditators and yogis who want to go further.
Do you also have a location on Seminary Line?
That's right. So I have it's called the Tree of Life Retreat Center. It's also a sustainability project. So Ian Gowdy, who runs the place there, we have everything we're exploring in anything that can become sustainable. So we've been working with the windmill, we have microhydro, we have a heating system, which is made with the masonry wood heating system. So, and that's with just, the power part of things.
Sure.
But we're alternative in many, many ways. And the idea is we're going to need this now. People are going to need to know how to live off the earth and live in a community, how to support each other. And so this is another big thing that I'm involved in, is creating community of like minds, spiritually awakening and also how to relate to each other while we're living in life. And that's a big challenge because now we're becoming more and more separate from each other. We don't know how to relate anymore. So that's one of the big things that I'm big on. So I hold retreats out there, workshops out there, and trainings out there.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So let's get into this. And you talked about we're all equal beings, and I firmly believe that. And we see faults in other people, and we don't even realize we have the same faults in ourselves.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like we walk around criticizing people as if we're going to get a reward for it or something,
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's the opposite. We want to work on ourselves.
yes, absolutely. So Miranda, let's talk about the yoga of communication, the dyad exercises. Just to explain that about people, because I've never heard of that actual type of yoga. Has that been around for a while, or is that as old as yoga itself?
Well, I could say it's old. The technique is really simple. It's learning how to listen and also learning how to go inside and articulate what's really, truly, authentically yours and communicate it with words that land on the other listener so that when you communicate, it's releasing you. So for instance, if you give me the question, tell me what's occurring for you, or tell me a problem you're working on, you would just be a listener. And as the listener, you're not judging me, as you were just saying that we tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
You are actually opening your heart and trying to understand me. You're not trying to give advice to me. You're basically just an open listener, like a really good friend. And then I will feel that there's this holding space that you have for me. And I'll just go ahead and talk about the problem that I'm dealing with today. And because you're holding space, your eyes on me, I'm feeling that, oh, this person's interested. I will draw out the deep, gory stuff.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
On, and I may even be very vulnerable. I might cry, I might express an emotion. But because you, as the listener, is not going to react and not trying to fix me, not try to stop my tears, not trying to control or manipulate me in any way whatsoever, I'm going to feel really free to get out that yucky stuff that's clogging me on the inside. So it's a sacred space. So the dyad format is like, before we begin, there's an agreement. I will not talk about what you say. You will not talk about what I say. It's just a special space, knowing that whatever I have to say is just my mind that needs to get it released. And because you're holding the space, it gets purified. It comes out, and then you're knowing that Meranda is not her personality. She's not what she says. She's my own self, the pure being, the pure, natural, whole, essential being that I am, that she is, that everyone is. And I'm waiting for her to shine in her full being after she empties all the garbage. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So what it basically is, and it's very difficult to have a communication with someone without feeling judged.
Yes.
So the dyad is kind of listening to, I'll put it in simple terms for me and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's the ability to listen to understand instead of listening to respond.
Very good.
Which is what most people do. Their idea of listening is what they're doing while they're waiting to talk again.
You got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know there was an Indian, a group of Indians they call it a talking stick.
Yes.
And if they had a group meeting, they would say the only time you can talk is if you're holding the stick. And if you're not holding that stick, then you have to listen.
Very good. Yes, it's very similar to that. It's respecting that when a person speaks, they need to speak authentically. And if another person interrupts, then what happens is the person feels, oh, that person's not really interested in everything, so I'll just fake my way through until I get out of this conversation.
Yeah. So it's to efficiently to be able to speak what could be holding you back, so that you can release it, so that you can then become your authentic self. Because, you know, if someone says something to you that you feel is a bit negative, or it hurts you, most people will hold that in.
Yeah.
And then it turns into resentment and anger and hatred, and instead of being able to constructively express your feelings. And when I see people in my office, the first thing I love to see them is to get emotional, because that's really where change happens, is right at that subconscious level. If you can get in there to really try and figure out what emotionally is holding them back, then that's the key to moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. When we start to speak authentically, then you start to fall in love with that person who's vulnerable, who's speaking truthfully from the emotion, or just from a clarity, or just like, I am the way I am, and I accept the way I am, and I'm speaking the truth of what I am right now. There's nothing more beautiful. That is exactly what we're missing in today's interactions.
Because when it really comes down to it, we all, as human beings, want the same thing. We want to be successful. We don't want to be judged. We want to be needed. We want to be loved. We want to be able to contribute. Now, some people go about that a little bit differently, but just because someone does it differently doesn't mean that they're wrong. You know, we all have experiences in life. And I remember Michael J. Fox said, you know, be kind to negative people, because they got a lot of things going on in their lives.
Good point.
Right. And you know, just because someone doesn't respond to you the way you expected, then you either look at them as there's something wrong with them, or in other cases we turn it into ourselves and figure, well, there's something wrong with me because the person didn't respond to me the way that I expected to. So continue on. So it just starts with the listener just asking the other person to just tell me what's going on in your life right now, and then it just goes from there.
Yeah, so we do it. It's a 5-minute thing, because you can't go longer than 5 minutes talking, because the listener doesn't have that much capacity in general. So it's like I speak and then you speak, and it's a back and forth type of thing, and that's called the Dyad format. And then there's a thank you at the end, and that completes that communication cycle. And then I'll tell me a problem you're working on, and then you get to speak fully.
Okay, so it all goes through you. Is there very specialized training to do this, or is it just, you know, you just sit down and see where it takes you? Is there a format to do, or things like that?
Yeah, I hold a space every Monday night at 6:30 to about 8:45 or so, and we do 3 40-minute dyads, and you change partners, and by the end of the third dyad, after the third 40-minute dyad, you will feel that something shifted. Like the first dyad, you kind of get out all the charge and the emotion, and getting the mind like cleared up a little bit. The second one, you go a little bit deeper, but usually by the third dyad, you feel like, I think I understand what I need to do now, or I have more clarity about this situation. I feel much better and lighter, and I feel like I can go and talk to so-and-so now, where I couldn't do it before. So you just need a couple of hours of just kind of going back and forth. And the other beautiful thing is you're listening to a partner who's also opening up and clearing something. Mm-hmm. And that 5 minutes of listening to another person is like, oh, other people have a mind just like mine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And you're experiencing this deep connection that you will never find in regular conversation in life.
Yeah, because I guess when you start to open up, like you said, the first thing that people do is they'll judge you, and I think the biggest thing for listeners to understand is we all have the answers within ourselves.
We do.
We just don't trust ourselves, probably because of our past, where people have told us we're stupid, we're not smart enough, you can't do that. And when you don't trust yourself, I guess the biggest gift anyone could give themselves is the gift of trust.
Very
Isn't
good.
that right? So when you ask someone their opinion about something you're not sure of, then you ask 10 people, 10 people will give you a different answer. Well, this is what I think you should do. Oh, you're crazy if you're going to do that. Oh, if I were you, this is what I would do. And then you get confused,
Yeah.
and you talk yourself out of it because everybody is coming at you from different angles. So if we only learned to trust ourselves, to listen to our gut, to go inside, I mean, our subconscious mind is the greatest guide and friend we could ever have.
Beautiful. Yes.
And that's what we really need to get into. And this is what your dyad of communications in yoga is, basically opening up people to the possibility that they'll find the answer if they trust you.
Very good. You just said it. That's exactly what happens. And then you build confidence in yourself because you're hearing yourself get stronger and stronger.
And I guess, can you hear me? Because you're frozen up there now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
sorry. Yeah, right, exactly. And there's nothing more empowering to give you self-confidence and self-esteem as to see yourself working out your own problem.
Exactly.
You see parents doing things for their kids and doing their homework for them and doing all this work and running after them and not letting them fall down and make a mistake so that they learn. And the kids don't ever get a chance to observe themselves working through their own problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is so fascinating, the communications model that is so easy, yet we get in our own way. And that's what happens in a lot of cases, don't it? We get in our own way.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a training ground to eventually be able to learn how to relate to your partner, to your family members, to your friends, to your coworkers, your boss. You'll be able to speak more authentically because that is what's missing in life.
And I think sometimes when I did a cognitive behavioral therapy course, and the guy who taught it was amazing, and he said there's really only 3 statements we can make. Anytime we make a statement, there's really only 3. We can lie, we can tell a joke, or we can make a sincere statement. So when someone says something to you, your partner or your friend, or someone says something like, you really don't care about anybody, only yourself. And in most cases, our ego gets burned, and we get bruised, and we lash back. And when in fact, the reason why the person probably said it is because you gave them a reason to say it in the first place. Right? So, if a child comes home to a parent and says, Mom or Dad, you really don't care about anybody, only yourself, the first response is, well, go to your room.
Yeah.
Argue with the person for 2 hours, and at the end of the 2 hours, the person is still going to feel the same way.
Yes, exactly.
So this seems to be such a mature, wonderful, empowering way to help deal with emotions, to help deal with feelings. So you talked about Monday nights. You do three different people. Is that the only time that you make this available to people?
Oh no, I have a lot of things working with this particular communication model. I have Enlightenment Intensives, which is a 3-day or a 7-day retreat. And we use this particular model. It's a communication exercise, but the retreat itself is in silence. So, and the question that is used there is, tell me who you are. So it works deeper. So they tell me what a problem is, or tell me what's occurring, is more like just cleaning out the garbage can for a week. But if you really want to go deep and find out who you really are, then we do an Enlightenment Intensive. So that's available on retreats in the summertime, and also throughout the year. I have online retreats and in-person retreats.
Excellent. Miranda, thank you. Thank you very much. Every time I meet such wonderful wellness professionals as yourself, I seem to move even closer to becoming the person that you'd like to be. I know I've got as people are listening to you, your information is up there in front of everybody. So if they want to get in touch with you, they have all that information. Before we go, can you give our listeners a little bit of advice that they could use right now to help them, particularly as we're coming through this pandemic and people are kind of, what if and worried and looking towards the future. And so can you just give some little words of wisdom that can help people today?
The main thing is you need to keep your meditation practice going every single day, because that's when you're connecting with your own divine. You need to love yourself. Love yourself means honoring the inner child within you. So if the inner child is not happy about a situation, then listen to her or him and respond to the inner child so that the inner child feels that you're worthy of trusting. And when she feels or he feels that you're listening to him or her, then he will relax inside and life will feel brighter and lighter. You'll be able to move through life because you won't have these inner resistances to the way things are. So loving yourself means listening to your inner child. That's one thing you can do. The other thing is that practice your spiritual techniques, methods, whatever that is. It could be a yoga practice, it could be a meditation practice, it could be a Tai Chi practice, it could be any practice that connects you to the divine. Keep that up and never allow anything on the outside to interfere with that.
Excellent advice, Miranda. And I read a quote somewhere that I thought is a great way to end. And I can't remember who said it, but the person said, treat yourself the same way you treat someone you love, because you're already complete.
Very good. Yes. And we cannot help anybody or move forward in life unless we practice loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Miranda, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Nice to see you again. And I'm sure our paths will cross again at some point. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. It's been a fabulous interview. Thank you.